Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin, Barry Ferguson and Alison McConell here with us. Of course, with the lockdown measures increased, you could actually travel a wee bit further away. Roughie now moving through Canada and then on to America, and then he'll probably head on to South America, Barry, before he eventually comes back here. Once he got a sniff of beyond 5 miles, that was him, he was off.
Yep, he was desperate. He was desperate to get away. Look, I know. I think where was it? He went down to Newcastle for the weekend, Peter. So,
yeah,
I think he's enjoyed himself too much. I think he's probably got a 2-day hangover. So, no, fair play to him. He was looking forward to getting away.
Yeah, he's also gutted that he's going to miss out on the programme, but nevertheless, still, we've got lots to talk about, and great to have Ali and Barry with us. You can give us your point of view as well, because the fixtures have been released. You now know where you're going to play, give or take, of course, the court case with Hearts and Partick Thistle still in the melting pot. But here's the opening fixtures: Aberdeen against Rangers, Dundee United St Johnstone, Hibs against Kilmarnock, St Mirren Livingston, Celtic against Hamilton Accies on the 2nd of August, at Ross County against Motherwell Monday the 3rd. So that's the opening day fixtures. Just before we get to the key fixtures, Barry, a few Rangers supporters obviously voicing their displeasure at the way it's all opened up for them. A tough one to start with.
Yeah, there's no doubt it's one of the toughest games that you play away from home and going up to Pittodrie to play Aberdeen, Peter. But listen, I'm sure the players, certainly if I was in their shoes, I'd be looking forward to that. It's a tough place to go. The atmosphere's always rotten. And listen, we've all missed football, and if that's the Rangers players, you'll be desperate to play in a game like that. But I understand, listen, there's going to be people saying, oh, look, it's one of the hardest games to get. But listen, see if you're a player, Peter, you want to play in these sort of games every single week.
Yeah, conspiracy theories abound, Barry, as ever, in this season of all seasons. There's going to be all sorts of madness when you consider what's at stake here. I mean, and of course, Ali, we only have to wait till October for the first of the Old Firm encounters, and then 2nd of January, because, of course, we're not going to have a winter break this season. We've got to try and fit in so many fixtures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think we all knew that was it, and that was coming as soon as we went into lockdown. But it's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, you mentioned conspiracy theories; they're never far away from Scottish football. But I actually think that, and I think I might be in a minority here, but I actually think there is common sense behind delaying the first Old Firm game for the season. Ultimately, you're trying to sell the league, you're trying to sell a package, you're trying to make it as attractive as possible. And if it means that at that point when we get to October that we can possibly have some fans in the stadium, I think it absolutely affects the game and the occasion and the energy around it and the atmosphere. And I think it's a different entity altogether when you have people there to watch it. I think we've all seen that with the televised games that we've seen up until now. I think it's just an entirely different proposition when you have bodies and atmosphere generated with people in the ground. And I also think it would be an opportunity to go and revise what we've had for the last season or so, with the numbers curtailed on each half, with the 800 or the 900 that are allowed in. It's maybe a chance to go back to more traditional numbers of fans from opposition sides getting in, and or going forward. I know in October we might not quite be at the point of having full stadia, but going forward for the remainder of the season and maybe going on to next season, if we could revert to how it was for so many years prior to that.
Yeah, that would be common sense prevailing. Don't hold your breath on that one, Ali. I've certainly hammered both of them for their tit-for-tat attitude on the away supporters. You definitely want 7,000 Rangers fans at Celtic Park, 7,000 Celtic fans at Ibrox. That's a Stonewall certainty. But, strange times. And let's not forget, it wasn't Rangers, and I always highlight this, it wasn't Rangers that started this lunacy. It actually started through in the east with Hibernian, and then it just mushroomed out to everybody suddenly. reducing the away supporters, which is complete madness. Maybe common sense will prevail on that one. You can give us your view too. Give us your view on some of the key fixtures. Here's a look at them all. Some of the key fixtures which might involve some of your your favourite team. Aberdeen Rangers we've mentioned. Celtic Aberdeen midway through August. Dundee United Celtic. Hibs against Rangers. Celtic Hibs, and then of course that Old Firm match that Ali mentioned. And for Dundee United with Mickey Mellon, who we're going to talk about shortly, it's December 12th for Dundee United against Rangers. There's another Old Firm game to talk about. Hamilton Accies Motherwell. Of course, you can't beat a Lanarkshire derby. And then March for Celtic Rangers. I wonder exactly what we'll be talking about by the time we get to March, hopefully. Full stadia, as Alison was talking about there, Barry, would be great. But I have to say, Barry, we're now in a situation where the clubs are still pleading with the Scottish Government for pre-season friendlies to be allowed, never mind the fans getting in any great numbers.
Yeah, Peter, that's something that I've been thinking about. It's look, during a normal pre-season, you would have anything in between 5 and 8 games you would play. So I think the first 3 or 4 games from all the clubs pre-season under their belt, i.e. playing a number of games with the players would be used to. So I think it would be just a case that they're playing 11 against 11 each other, and if they can sneak in maybe 2 or 3 friendlies, they would certainly get a benefit for that. So that's the bit that I worry about when we start back in the start of August. The standards won't be at what we would expect normally.
Yeah, and of course you can't beat a leak from another club, Ali. I always like a little leak that allows us all to jump all over it. And somebody in France has highlighted that Celtic look as if they'll be playing a pre-season friendly against Paris Saint-Germain on the 21st of July with Lyon and Nice somewhere around there as well.
Yeah, I saw that. If they're given permission to do so, but it's an interesting one because this isn't actually a normal pre-season either. I think over the last decade, the close season has contracted so much that you maybe now talk about 2, maybe a maximum of 3 weeks off for a number of players. If you consider that the season's been elongated so much, if you have international commitments at the end of it. So when you go back and consider that players had essentially 6 to 8 weeks off, it would be the first time probably in many of their senior careers that they've had that amount of time without any contact, physical exchanges on the training ground. I know they would all have programs to do and 5K runs, but it's a very different discipline from actually playing a game. So it would be the longest time for many of them to go and not have access to that kind of facility and playing. So it's not even a normal pre-season. They probably need longer to get fit too.
Yeah, absolutely. We could have 19 red cards on the opening day of the season by the way this is going, because it's been that long since I've actually been able to smash into each other. So here's hoping. And Darren Hope has sent us a message on Facebook, and he says, as soon as you get fans in, I want my concerts back as well. I mean, you just think about it. I mean, football, concerts, entertainment, going to the theatre, going to the cinema, all those things that we have taken for granted over the years, suddenly you miss out on them so much. And of course, this social distancing, again, it won't go away, the vaccine. That's the one thing that we're all waiting on. Whether it's the game changer for everyone in life, only time will tell. But nevertheless, that's how the fixtures look. I mean, obviously, you can get an extended look at all those fixtures on our website at plzsoccer.com. But so many people. Alan Brotherston is in Sydney. Alan, great to have you with us. We've got so many people from Australia. We've got, listen, there are countries all over the globe joining us. We want to thank you, because Monday to Friday, the figures for the show are absolutely tremendous. And remember, this is us without even the season kicking off yet. By the time it all kicks off in this season of all seasons, people will be queuing up to absolutely batter Barry live on air every day of the week when he's on. And of course, Roughie will give us a calming influence on all matters to do with Thistle and where they are in League One or potentially the Championship. We're going to talk about that as well. We've got a one-to-one with Darian MacKinnon, who's decided to play for Drumchapel. He's going back to the juniors. And again, Barry, some money being paid by the juniors if they can attract the likes of Darian MacKinnon, albeit he's in the twilight of his career. Even Ian McShane, we've had on the programme as well, has gone to the lower level.
Yeah, Peter, you're seeing a lot of these players that have played basically played at the highest level in Scotland, making the move to go down to the juniors. But one thing I will say about all these clubs, Peter, is that they're really ambitious. They've got good backers behind them, and they want to get through the pyramid system and hopefully one day come into the SPFL. But the two players that you mentioned, for me, could still do a job at a very good level in Scotland. But it's the attraction of guaranteed contracts that these clubs are giving them. Plus, as I said, they've got good people behind the scenes that are willing to put their hard-earned cash into their club.
Yeah, absolutely. Hearts, Dundee United, Rangers, Celtic. We're going to be discussing all the stories emerging from those clubs coming up. We're going to be hearing from Robbie Neilson now because, quite simply, this is the first chance Hearts have got to unveil the manager, and he revealed today that it was just too good a job to turn down.
Look, I have a great affinity with Hearts. I was here as a player for a long time, also as a manager. So I just, I felt it was the right one to come back to. I think it possibly, if it had been any other club, it'd have been a different story. But when Anne made contact, I felt it was the right move for me. And difficult to leave Dundee United, to be honest with you, because of the relationship I had, one with the players and the fans, but also with the staff above and below me. So, but when Hearts come knocking, it's very, very difficult to turn it back.
Well, I was surprised, initially, because Dundee United are going to the Premiership and Hearts, give or take a court case, are heading towards the Championship, Ali.
Yeah, I think it was one that just surprised everyone. It really came from left field, but I think it's an interesting one. I think there's probably few clubs that he would have left the job he started at Dundee United to go to. You might see that second time around there's an opportunity to go and rectify some of the mistakes from the first time. I certainly think it's an intriguing appointment. I expect now that they'll probably be in the Championship, and it'll be interesting to see if he can get them up, because it's not an easy division to get out of.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, he's got a few problems that he'll have to sort out in there. Of course, there's a squad which has to be not so much trimmed down, but some of the deadwood taken out and some of the players that he would like to bring in, as Barry knows only too well as the manager of Kelty Hearts. But Robbie Neilson might have to discuss the future of one of his old teammates, Christophe Berra, and the availability of a former Jambo. Of course, Sam Nicholson suddenly has become available again after, I think, actually leaving the MLS in America. This is what Robbie had to say on both players.
Look, Christophe, for me, I know him very well. I think he's a very good defender. I think he's a good leader in the camp as well. So Christophe will come back in with us, and then we'll look at the whole squad together when they come back in and make decisions. There's no doubt in that we have a big squad. We have to add to it, but we also have to take some out of that squad as well. So, yeah, like Sam's like a really good player, but also a good friend of mine, having spent a number of years coaching him. One is a young player in the youth and also in the first team. So like he's a level of player that we're hoping to attract to this football club. I'm sure he'll have numerous offers back in the UK, but he's one that we'll definitely be speaking to anyway.
Yeah, that would be an interesting return, Barry. Sam Nicholson. I'm not sure. I think it's going to be a difficult one for him to deal with Christophe Berra, because no harm to Christophe, but I think his days of playing, well, let's put it this way. Will he have a chance to actually maybe get another year at Hearts because they'll be in the Championship?
Yeah, and I think he has a year's contract left, Peter. And as Robbie says, he just mentioned, he is a good defender, but he is getting older, Christophe. He did struggle at times last year. Now, that was either down to the manager that he didn't enjoy playing under, or the formation that he played under that certain manager. But in terms of Sam Nicholson, he's a player I always liked, Peter. He always excited me when I watched him, and I'm sure, you can tell with Robbie's interview that Robbie really rates him, and I'm sure you might see him back at Hearts. But he knows he's got a big job in his hands, Peter. He's already started by bringing Craig Gordon in, and I'm sure you'll see a few people leaving through the door and a few people coming in through the door.
Yeah, like to give people a mention who join us on the programme. Try and get through as many as I possibly can. Don't forget you can like, share and follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our Twitter. It doesn't cost you anything, just hit the button, you're with us and you can join the football family. Curtis Peachy said, and I kid you not, Barry, I am quoting this basically from YouTube. This is the message that's come in from Curtis Peachy. He says, "Hi Alison, you are my favourite journalist." Now, Ali, if you're going to get your cousins to write messages, I mean, come on. I mean, there's nothing.
That's her husband. Her husband is son.
He's come on with a pseudonym. That's fantastic. Well done, Baz. Hi to
20 quid in the
Gary
post.
Ramsey. Yeah, absolutely. Hi to Gary Ramsey, Joseph Byrne, of course, Peter Quinn as well. Lots of people, and Fred has joined us from Australia as well. There are so many people across YouTube, Facebook, and of course, let's not forget Periscope as well on our at PLZ Soccer Twitter. Andy Penman is on our Facebook, Joe McCann as well. So lots of people joining us. Now, we talked about Hearts there. What about Robbie Nielsen's old club, Dundee United, look as if they're about to unveil Mickey Mellon? Here's a little insight into the new man.
Dundee United will appoint Tranmere Rovers boss Mickey Mellon as their new head coach on a 3-year deal. But who is Robbie Nielsen's replacement? The 48-year-old Scot played as a midfielder for several lower league clubs in England, including Bristol City, West Brom and Blackpool, but he never played back in his homeland. He moved into management with Fleetwood Town, taking the club into the Football League for the first time in their history by winning the 2011-12 conference title. He was in temporary charge at Barnsley before taking over at Shrewsbury, where he ensured their promotion to League One at the first time of asking. In 2016, Mellon moved back to the conference and Tranmere Rovers, where he delivered back-to-back promotions, although they were relegated last month with the early termination of League One. Mellon is said to follow Scottish football closely and can back his 5 promotions up with an impressive win rate of 47%.
I have to be honest with you, Alison, I'd never heard of him until suddenly his name emerged in a list of the candidates.
No, it was another one that really took us by surprise, I think. Well, only time will tell. I think every appointment has an element of a gamble to it, but it'll be interesting to see just how much he knows about the Scottish football environment, the Scottish football scene, and what he brings to it. And in some ways it's refreshing, I think, when you come in and there are people that we don't know about. I think it can be exciting. I think it can be a breath of fresh air at times, and I think we'll all be keen to see what's going on. I just wonder how much his appointment will be overshadowed though too by the news that Dundee United now are looking for a crowdfunder to offset the legal costs from obviously what was going on with Hearts and Thistle. I see that they're looking for fans to maybe help them with a $150,000 bill, and you think it's maybe not an ideal start if you're coming into a club and that's the background to it. And I know that players and managers separate off and on field stuff, but it's still there bubbling in the background, and you think it's maybe not the ideal way to come in.
Well, strangely enough, you always try and read between the lines on situations like this. Now, I'm not overstating the case here. Dundee United would be really worried if indeed Hearts and Partick Thistle suddenly had access to documents, Barry, that revealed something that strengthened their case. Now, is there a document there that would strengthen their case enough to get them reinstated into the divisions that they've just left? Or, that would have huge implications. Dundee United have already said today in a statement they released that it would be ruinous for them if that was the case. They've been planning for the Premiership and then to go back to the Championship. When you consider what they've been doing, that would be a catastrophe. So I think I can understand what they're doing. They're saying, look, we've been advised legally that we still have to take the case and obviously pay for legal representation at the arbitration stage with the SFA. So we're doing this to try and protect every club, is their attitude. So can you chip in and help us? I think that's the real motivation behind it. Whether it affects Mickey Mellon's budget, I'm sure it'll have some impact on it, if not, coincide with coronavirus. But I can understand why they're looking for help and sharing about the costs.
Yeah, listen, it's like every club just now, Peter. A lot of clubs are going through difficult times, and Dundee United, albeit they've got a wealthy backer for America, they'll still be going through tough times as well. And I think it's just a plea for the fans to help them out. I think the amount that get bandied about was it 50 or 60,000 £. I'm sure the Dundee United fans will come out in numbers and put their hard-earned money towards that. But in terms of Mickey, Peter, I spoke about him on Friday. A real wise choice for Dundee United. I was lucky enough to play under Mickey for a month on loan. I seen him at first hand. Really good coach, good man manager, and I'm delighted because I knew at some stage he felt he was ready to go and coach at the highest level, whether that be in England or Scotland. And I do know that he kept a keen eye on Scottish football, and I'm delighted that he's got the chance to go and manage Dundee United in the Premier League. And I tell you what, the Dundee United fans should be happy because they've got a real top guy and a top manager.
Yeah, it's a nice compliment that you've paid him off the back of what Dundee United had been speaking to me last week, just mentioning the fact that if they were going to pick someone, if it wasn't going to be the high profile, Malky Mackay or indeed Steve McLaren, it had to be someone that wasn't overly affected by everything that's gone on in Scottish football. Almost like, they were quite happy for it to be a Scot, but that had not been immersed in Scottish football for a long period of time, Barry.
Yeah, but what I say is, Peter, I got to know him out with even him managing me at Fleetwood when I was on loan. I went out and had a few drinks and a couple of meals with Mickey. Got to know him really well, and his football knowledge was frightening. He knew everything that was going on up in Scotland. He's just a football buff. And you know what? He's done it the hard way, Peter. He started in the conference. He's brought clubs up. Then he got his crack at League 2 and League 1, and he's done really well. So, listen, he's a guy that's put the hard miles in, and he's got the chance now. And I'm delighted that he's got the chance to manage at a real good level in Scotland.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, a lot of speculation, as ever. You know what it's like with a big man. He's such a lovable character. People worrying about Roughie. He'll be back with us tomorrow. Of course, Sammy Marshall, who's on Facebook, has said to us, Roughie's in the Barbers or Big Sengas. And of course, for those who don't know, Senga was Roughie's first love. Nobody, Ali, has a Scooby whether Senga's alive or not, because it's such a long time ago. Of course, we will. Well, absolutely. And we
Peter, you need to find out. You'll need to find out and get Senga on the show and do a one-to-one interview with her.
Well, to be honest with you, there are some of our punters have been sending me photographs of apparently a reported sighting of Senga, and it leaves a lot to be desired. Nevertheless, if we're trying everything, I'm going to buy Roughie a Ouija board just in case he wants to contact her in another way. But nevertheless, to Stephen Martin and so many others commenting on the big man, but it's always a bit of fun with him. I can't believe he revealed his first love on the programme. I mean, honestly, just stick to the footy. Don't want to get you two to reveal. Well, don't need Barry to tell us who his first love is, because we already know on this show.
yeah, she's been on the show.
She's actually been on the show, Ali. So there you are.
Yeah, she's been on the show a number of times. So
yeah,
that was
absolutely. Don't tell us. Don't let her. Keep it a secret. Keep it a secret.
First year at high school. Second year, sorry.
Absolutely.
She was a year below.
Second year. You see, Ali, that's exactly what happens in here every now and then.
Well, see, my eldest child's at that age. That frightens me.
Yeah, second. Yeah, of course it does, actually, Ali. You're absolutely right. And of course, knowing you as I do, Ali, you won't be revealing any first love on the programme because
no love's here. There's been none.
No, exactly. I just want to say you've still got your first week's pocket money.
Indeed.
Oh, he's been cut off.
The people mentioning Barry there, so and of course Roughie, but he'll be back with us tomorrow, I promise you that. And of course, don't bother asking if Ali's going to reveal it. She's as tight as a drum, by the way. She's the only thing she'll reveal her story is when the book comes out in about 20 years from now. Anyway, Celtic and Rangers. Hey, what a blow, Barry. Nikola Katic, cruciate injury. Now, this could force Steven Gerrard into the transfer market. I think he has to go and get somebody.
Yeah, I mean, a big blow first and foremost for Katic to have no football for the last 3 months, come into pre-season, you're absolute buzzing, then to get a cruciate ligament injury, Peter, it'll be a tough one to take, and it's no as long a road as it was a number of years ago. You can get back within 5 or 6 months, but he's going to miss, as I say, a big part of the season. So I would imagine that the manager will dip into that kind of market, centre-half area, because he's got 4 vying for 2 places. I think competition's always good, so don't be surprised if he goes out and tries to get another centre-back in.
Yeah, I mean, I think this next 2 or 3 weeks, Ali, bearing in mind they know the fixtures that are coming out, I think this next week, possibly into the week after, is when, you know, the clubs will really start motoring and trying to get players in who obviously want to get a good pre-season, who obviously want to get accustomed to their teammates. This one is an enforced, injury with regards to Katic, so he's going to. He probably wasn't thinking about an out-and-out replacement. And then over and above that, Matt Polster looks as if he could be going back to New England Revolution in the MLS. That might give him a wee bit of money as well. But I just wonder how many players he's still got on that list that he thinks he needs to change.
I think there'll be a few, but I think it's probably an awkward window for so many reasons. One, none of us are entirely sure yet what the economic impact of the coronavirus is going to be, and also the fact that that so many of the top leagues have played to a conclusion means that when you would normally be off and maybe speaking to clubs and doing things, there's a continuation of the league down south, and I wonder what kind of effect that might have had on the window up here too, because it means that I think it hinders what you're doing just now in the market, because it's not really all up and running yet when you still get players and clubs focused on games for the minute. I think it might be another week or so before you really see it starting to gear up and liven up, and it might even be longer than that. I think you might even be going into August before you see it really moving, because as you know yourself, it's a real domino effect when you're in the transfer window with so many things affected by it and players affected by it. And so if one sale falls down, it then has a ripple effect all the way round. So it'll be interesting to see, but certainly I think it'll have slowed it down for now.
But I think, just countering what you're saying there, Ali, Barry, you and I have already debated how many players Rangers need. Now, I listened to your old teammate Chris Boyd saying that Rangers have got the quality to take on Celtic. Well, I would beg to differ. I don't think they've got the quality to take on Celtic. They certainly haven't got the mentality of that current crop. I think he needs to add those 2 or 3 blue chip signings that I was talking about to suddenly give the whole squad a lift, to give them the belief that, well, we've had this quality, now we've gone up to this. He's signed 2 or 3 players that will get the fans excited.
Yeah, listen, I think the signings that he's going to make, Peter, and I've been open and honest about this, are players that have got to come into the starting 11. Real trusted characters, good mentality. Now, that they're difficult to find and they cost money, but I think he knows how important a season this is going to be, and they 3 or 4 signings have got to come into the starting 11. We've seen it. Listen, the first 6 months, Peter, was really good from Rangers, but when you get into the business end, that's where certain players let him down, and he knows that. He's been open and honest about that, the manager, and that's something that jumped out at him. So he's made it clear the guys that are going to be coming in need to first of all come into the starting 11, as I said, and also have the strong mentality that's needed to play under the pressure that you get when you play with a club like Rangers.
Yeah, Stuart Carruthers is... Yeah, go on, Ali.
I was going to say, I just wonder how much will hinge on Alfredo Morelos and what his next step might be, and whether or not there is a bid that comes in for him that's just too lucrative to turn down, and is that the kind of bid that comes in that enables you to go and buy 2 players that make the difference? And that's quite a big decision, I think, to make too. He's for all his faults and all his the issues that hindered him with his temperament. He's a boy who scores goals. He scored goals every season. I think you would have to weigh up what to do there, and if he himself wants to go. So I think so much might depend on what happens there.
See, if I'm being honest, Peter, I think I says last week in the show at the start of the week, if I'm Rangers, I would put my arm round about him and try and keep him for another season. Now, I think it's clear that the manager is going to get backing from Douglas Park, and there is going to be money made available to go and bring players in. Now, don't get me wrong, if a ridiculous offer comes in, I think they would obviously need to consider it. But for me, put your arm round about him, tell him, listen, go and produce for another season, and then you'll get your move at the end of next season. That's what I would try and do, because as Alison said, the first 6 months, the amount of goals he scored, 29 goals, I think, in just over 40 games, it is a phenomenal return from him. So he is an important player, Peter. There's no doubt when he's on his game, he's a massive asset to Rangers.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is a big roll of the dice. It doesn't get any tougher than heading up to Pittodrie on the opening day of the season. But Barry, the other thing about it is we all know the failings of Rangers. We all know what they're missing. And again, as Ali pointed out there, and you've elaborated on the uncertainty over Morelos, but this is a season where they suddenly... It's not just sneak a 1-0 win and stay on their coattail. This is the season when Rangers fans are saying, want you to be there, want you to be at the top, want to stop Celtic winning 10 in a row. And that pressure valve is going to be increased from week one. No slip-ups. Slip-ups, I think, increase the pressure.
There is no doubt, Peter, the pressures that are going to be on this Rangers team this season are going to be huge. But again, see, if you want to play for a club like Rangers, you've got to be able to handle the pressures and the demands that are put on you, not just for the fans, but for the management team and for the board. So, massive season, but that's what you want to play in. You want to play in the big games like the first game of the season up at Aberdeen. Yeah, is it going to be difficult? Of course it is. But to go and achieve things and win things, you need to go to places like Pittodrie and win games. Yeah. Whether it's the first game of the season or 6 games into it, I couldn't care. Yeah, it's a tough one, but let's prepare ourselves.
But my point on that, Barry, is quite simply, this is a team that finished with a limp rather than finished, dipping towards the tape. This team needs reinforcements and a change of attitude and a lift as well. The other thing that was just, again, it's something that really it's just dragged on, and it's now becoming a little bit silly, is the launch of the new strip, Castor. Suddenly you have a situation, Barry, 50,000 Rangers fans are like that. Yes, Castor, new company, bang, get the strip. It looks great. They want to buy it, but suddenly you're in a situation where, still hovering away in the background, nobody knows if it's only House of Fraser, if it's going to be Sports Direct, if Mike Ashley still has his fingerprint on that somewhere.
Yeah, when I read it, I was like, oh my God, is he still floating in the background? I was taken aback with it. As you say, new strip comes out, everybody's absolute buzzing, Peter, to get it. And then the news came out that the only place you could get it is somewhere linked to Sports Direct. So, listen, I don't know where it's going to go. I just hope that this new strip, the new company that Rangers are with, can handle the demands, Peter. Because listen, we're not talking just about 50,000. We're talking over a couple of 100,000 strips easy. Then, on top of that, you've got the leisure wear and the away tops that start coming out. So the demand for Rangers stuff is massive. I just hopefully that they can handle it.
Well, the other thing about this, Ali, is Rangers getting a sizable chunk of the money. I don't think Rangers fans, although he's still hovering in the background, Rangers fans won't care as long as the club's getting 7-8 million that the deal can bring. As long as it's not the carve up that was there for the last few years, where Rangers got, it was almost like 2 Quedgie cups and a Kit Kat for every strip they sold, because it was getting ridiculous. It was such an unfair deal. Now you want to be able to say to Steven Gerrard, here's 7 or 8 million, coming from the shirt sales.
It's such a huge amount that goes into the revenue generated by the club. It's not an insignificant amount of money for the reasons that Barry just touched on there. Given the volume of replica kits that Celtic and Rangers both sell, it's not an insignificant amount of money that it raises. It's a huge revenue stream for the clubs, and if you're not having access to that, it's a massive problem. I think there were questions asked last week when Mike Ashley's ghost came back to haunt Rangers again. I know that Rangers put out a statement just looking to assure their support that it wasn't going to be sold in one exclusive outlet, that there would be access to it. And I think now what you have to see is the viability of that, and can you go and order the strips through the club, because that's obviously the easiest way to ensure that your money is going directly back in to the club and can be reinvested there. But certainly I would say there's still quite a lot of questions to be asked about that. I'm not sure that the statement really covered everything that came up.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not a story that we brought you. It's not a story that we made up. And the reason I'm mentioning that, it's always like to mention the good and the bad messages that come in. So I might as well mention this one. Stephen Cassidy says, now, bear in mind what I've just said to you on the story of the strips, which has been reported. Stephen Cassidy, who's on Facebook, says, my God, Peter Lawwell definitely has his fingerprints all over you, Peter. This is on a Rangers story. Stephen says, how many times do we oddballs like yourself, now I'm a wee oddball, need to talk about Ashley? It wouldn't matter because you talk gumph. Stephen, there's a classic phrase on this show, and it's great because you've just nailed it for me. Stephen, this is not the show for you. You need to go and watch Rangers television and listen to Rangers media, because this isn't for you. We just talk about the news stories that come out and offer our opinion on it. There's no agenda. It's just an opinion. You might not like it, but we certainly don't have anybody's fingerprints on this show. We're offering a balanced opinion on stories that are coming out. This one with Mike Ashley just won't go away. And there's a lot of Rangers fans out there who can think for themselves that somebody is not telling the truth. Barry, somewhere along the line, that story, which has got nothing to do with us, is out there not telling the truth about what's happening with that deal.
Yeah, do you know what, Peter? See, once I come off this show, I'm actually going to have to look back. I ordered 3 of the strips last week, and I'm not sure where I ordered them from. So that's what I'll be doing when you finish the show.
Yeah.
3 strips. So
yeah. Well,
hopefully it's not Mike
listen,
Ashley is getting money.
To be fair, you buy that much gear that the Rangers deal's worth $7 million on your sales alone. So it's incredible. That's how we need to get it.
No, I'm giving.
Listen,
I'm giving my money back to the club and my season book as well. So a season book that I never use actually.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, by the way, and why shouldn't you highlight that? Because you were a Rangers fan as a boy. You love the club. You want to see them do well, and I think that's testament to you're a legend at the club and testament to your love of them as well. And the good thing is, now that I know that you've got a spare ticket, that's good, Ali, because there's always games where you need to help someone out. Now that I know you can use it,
Can I just say, I don't think where I've got my season book, Peter, I don't think you'll be very welcome.
You could give him one of those tops you've just ordered.
No, that's
honestly, I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. I'll give you an indication. I'll be wearing Ali's high heels, one of her dresses, and lipstick and makeup on. You're absolutely scandalous, Ferguson. You should suggest I wouldn't be welcome in the Copeland Road End. Anyway, apart from anything else, you're probably 100% correct. I know Scott Suthers has said, and a number of people here have mentioned, it's good that clubs can do the business early. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Motherwell have been out of the traps, flying here. They want to try and get Callum Lang on a permanent deal from Wigan as well, Alison. I mean, they have really just silently gone about their business, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. Brought in a few. I think the big thing for Motherwell last season was that they brought in so many and changed and tweaked the system that it facilitates almost bringing other players in, because you're slotting them in to an existing way that you've already established, that you've put the foundations in for the way that you want the team to play, and it's then you can identify players that you think fit that. I think that makes it easier than last season, when they were having a change of personnel and a change of system, and you're having to educate people on everything that's different and how you want them to play and what their role is in the team. I think I think they'll be looking to kick on. Obviously, like they finished third, they'll have the prospect of European football to play now too, and the fact that they've kept Stephen Robinson, I'm sure, will be seen as a pretty major coup too, after obviously the interest from Northern Ireland.
Yeah, Stuart Carruthers says, Barry, can I get your ticket for the next Motherwell game at Ibrox? So clearly, we've opened a can of worms here. Sean Russell says, Peter, I understand media are all over Ashley and Rangers. Both Rangers and Castore have said Ashley has a direct agreement with Castore, not Rangers. Yeah, listen, that may well be the case. But I think the problem that Rangers fans have with this, Alison, is it's not that the club is being transparent on it, or Castore. It's a drip feed which still has him in the background. And the fear from some Rangers supporters is, does this affect the deal? Is there, are you being transparent enough to say, are we getting the full whack of our money here?
People are being critical because they perceive that there's a criticism of the club in this, and they're defensive of the club. But these are questions that have to be asked, and if you're a Rangers fan, you should be asking the question, because this is money that goes to the benefit of the club. If you're denied that stream, it has massive ramifications, as we've already seen. I think if you're a Rangers supporter, you should be looking to pick up the rocks here and find out exactly what's going on, because this affects the lifeblood of the club. It's a huge amount of money.
Peter, Alison's right. See, like for myself, what I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, I bought 3 strips last week. I want to know that money that I've paid for the 3 strips is going into towards the manager's budget, or going into maybe do better things at the training ground, or do something at the stadium. And Alison's bang on. Fans want to know where their hard-earned money, when they go for strips, when they go for season books, all that sort of stuff. We know the season books goes into the manager's budget, but with the strips and with this Castore deal, they just want to know that it does go straight to Rangers, because the last deal was an absolute nightmare, let's be honest. They get nothing from the sale of anything.
It was a joke, and I think in desperate times, I don't know if Rangers could have avoided that whole deal. I mean, who agreed to sign that deal? It just absolutely paralysed the club for 4 or 5 years. And by the way, never mind the paltry sum that we're getting for the sales of the shirt. Let's not forget, it also took them down a road where they were constantly going into court paying legal fees to try and get out of the deal. So that's exactly how hacked off Rangers fans are with Mike Ashley's name in the background. A couple of things before we get to our one-to-one with Darian MacKinnon. Brilliant lad, always kept a tab on Darian's career at Hamilton, Ayr United, Partick Thistle. Now joining Drumchapel in the 7th tier of Scottish football. But we'll hear from Darian what his hopes are for the future coming up. Also, just looking there, I know your brother's been talking about his son, Lewis. Lewis, he reckons, wants a crack at the English Premier League. And suddenly, because of this, again, not so much an exodus, but there's a lot of Scottish players now suddenly can get back down south and earn some really good money. And so I'm not surprised that your brother Derek is suggesting Lewis might be looking south rather than possibly towards Ibrox, Barry.
Yeah, I can understand it. Look, I know Lewis. I mean, I only spoke to him 3 weeks ago because he was down visiting, seeing my son, who he's good friends with. He's really happy up there, Peter. He understands he's still got a lot to learn, and he's really learning under Dale McInnes. But I think also the flip side of that, Aberdeen know they have got an asset there worth a lot of money. And I think if the right offer did come in for Lewis, I think Aberdeen would have to consider it. And he's like any young boy, Peter. He's ambitious. He wants to try and play at the highest level. And one thing I will say about him is he's worked really hard at it. He's worked really hard at his game. He's had a couple of knocks when he was younger, obviously getting let go from Rangers. He went and he's done it the hard route in Hamilton. Nurtured them, put him into the first team, and he's got that move to the next level at Aberdeen. In the last couple of seasons under Aberdeen, he's flourished under Dell. So, no, I think he's ready to go and make that step. But listen, also, I don't think it would be a silly idea if he actually stayed at Aberdeen for another season and got another 30, 40 games of experience under his belt.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan, actually. I think he's got that bit about him. He's obviously got the rich vein of talent that the two, one, our pundit here, Barry, and of course his brother Derek had in abundance, Ali. Two great players, and if he can have half the career both Derek and Barry had, he'll be doing well.
Yeah, I think that the talent's here for everyone to see, but I think as we've seen, particularly over recent years, it's never enough just to have the talent. I think what you need is the hunger and the drive and the commitment to always getting better. And I think when you're released like that, I think when you've spent your childhood almost at a club, and at the club where obviously it's slightly different for him. He would have been at Rangers as a kid, knowing that his uncle and his dad had come through, and I think the disappointment's probably even harder to take then when you're let go. And I think it always says something about a player when you're let go and you come back and you make a success of it elsewhere. I think it speaks volumes about your character, about your personality, and I think those are all attributes that you need if you're going to go on and better yourself. But I also like the evidence of that on the pitch too. He's got the talent, but there's another side to him as well that you see in his game, which I think bodes well for him going forward. He's still a young boy. And I think Barry's right. I think it probably wouldn't do him any harm if it was a choice between staying at Aberdeen for another year and knowing that you're a key part of that midfield and you're constantly developing, or going down south where you're not guaranteed access to the first team every week. You would pick Pittodrie every time then.
Yeah, and I think also he might have ambitions for Scotland as well, because that's certainly something that I think we need as many good choices as possible at international level. I know he'll have that ambition, definitely, Barry.
Oh, certainly. Look, Peter, one thing about him is he's a very, very grounded boy. Even with the great 2 years he's had up at Aberdeen, he's still the same boy. Which I love, you know what I mean? He's got a real work ethic about him. And he knows, listen, he's still learning his trade and he's still got a long way to go. But one thing he knows for sure, he's got to work hard at it. And he's certainly going to do that. And I just think when boys are like that and they've got that type of attitude, Peter, they've got a real chance in the game. And hopefully he will get that move at the right time.
Okay, still a bit to go. Just some other points I want to get your thoughts on, guys. But earlier I got a quick chat with Darian MacKinnon, 34 years of age now. He's decided to say goodbye to the professional game. Some surprising comments coming from him. But nonetheless, he's hoping to refine that love and passion for the game, this time in the 7th tier of Scottish football at Drumchapel. I caught up with him earlier. Well, I'm delighted to say our special guest is former Hamilton Accies midfielder Darian MacKinnon. Darian, when the fixtures come out on a day like today, do you not just get a wee tinge of thinking, oh, I wish I was back there playing in the Premiership?
Yeah, Peter, absolutely. Especially, I think Hamilton got Celtic at Parkhead. That's always a good place to go and play. So there's a wee tinge of sadness, but I'll be tuning in, and I don't know who I'll be supporting.
Well, I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, you're 34 years of age and there's still a wee bit of mileage in those legs, but you've caught me by surprise. The 7th tier of Scottish football, suddenly it's Drumchapel.
Yeah, it was. It's just the way the football went last season. I'd lost the buzz, if you like. So when the drum manager phoned us, everything just fell into place. It's a good deal for that level, and I've got a full-time job at it, so everything's worked out well.
Well, that's a good sign because, I interviewed Gary Harkins a couple of weeks ago and he said to me, listen, I'm going out into the real world now. I've said goodbye to football. I'm going to go and get a real job. But, I mean, how important was it for you to try and get something that would give you a chance of a career?
It was, because when you finish football, it's a shock. you're going. I thought I was just going to go straight into coaching. When this happened, that put the brakes on it. But that's still my ultimate aim. You need to provide for your family and your kids. So when the deal came in, it was a no-brainer for me to sign. As soon as I spoke to them, there was no need to speak to anybody else.
And of course, you know that level as well. But I think you were a shining light for so many people in the juniors that you could go professional for such a long time.
Yeah, the time at Bankies was class. I done well personally, but so did the team. We had a right good squad then. I was talking to somebody the other day about that. We still won more with that squad we had. But it shows that there's plenty of players in there that can go and step up. It's just whether people take a chance. And I was lucky Hamilton, Ronnie, Les and Alan Maitland and Alan McGonigal took a chance on me and it paid off.
Yeah, over 250 appearances for the Ackies. You must have had more than a few special memories.
Yeah, absolutely. The promotion, beating Hibs away after being 2-0 down, special. That takes a lot to beat that. The 2-0 win at Ibrox was special as well for so many different reasons. There's so many you can pinpoint, but the Hibs game at Easter Road, that's a special one.
Yeah, you mentioned there, of course, playing for 8 years there, and then you touched on the point that you thought you'd just lost, you'd fallen out of love with the game. What in particular just didn't light your fire that last season?
When you're not playing, it's difficult to keep yourself going, especially at my age. You start to doubt yourself a wee bit. You're not doing things properly. So that was the case. When the buzz goes, it's like Peter. When you're not enjoying it, you're not giving your best. And I don't think I gave my best at Thistle, so it was a disappointment, that move.
Yeah, and from your own point of view, coaching clearly is something you hope to try and do in parallel with the full-time job. But you never know. I mean, it hopefully could lead to you in football on a full-time basis.
Well, that's the plan. Ackies are paying for my badges. So here's hoping. Ronnie's kept in touch with me. So I'm hoping this all starts again and a year down the line or something I can get back into football. Would
it be your ambition to one day coming out of that manager's room as the manager of Hamilton Ackies?
I'm not sure if I want to be the manager. Coaching, I really enjoy the coaching, working with the players. So I've not decided what I want to do, but I definitely want to be back in football. So here's hoping.
Yeah, absolutely. Fingers crossed for that. I think you've got so much that you could pass on. I mean, when you look at Darian MacKinnon, all those years ago, playing football, probably for the love of the game, and what you've achieved now, the change has been unbelievable, hasn't
it? Yeah, where I came from to go professional, and even sitting here talking to you, Peter, I wouldn't have thought that years ago. So it shows it can be done. It was a lot of hard work, met a lot of good people on the way. It just shows you, just try and live your dream. I know it sounds cheesy, but if you've got something in your head, just go for it and you just never know.
Now, the one thing that you haven't probably thought about, but I was thinking about it myself, you're 34, you're Darian MacKinnon, you've had a right good career in the professional game, you run out there for the drum and they're all after you in the middle of the park, they want to cement you. You know it's coming, don't you?
I know it's coming, but don't worry, Peter, if you remember me when I first started, I'm pretty sure I can take care of myself, so I'm looking forward to it. I've been there before and I know what to expect, but bring it on, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't think of a better way to finish it. Listen, Darren, from everyone in the football show, we hope we're talking about you as a full-time coach back in the professional game. Keep chasing the dream, and from everyone here, we wish you all the best. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, Peter. One more thing I've got to say to you. The drums say you're due back for a sportsman's dinner. You've not to let them down.
Tell them I'm there in 2021. I'll be there. As long as you're by my side, that's magnificent, just in case I need Hanners.
Oh, no problem, Peter. That's never in doubt, pal. All the best.
Absolutely magnificent. What a good lad he is, Darian MacKinnon. I'll tell you. And of course, when you think about him, Ali, hard as nails on the pitch.
Yeah, he was so he was always a really good guy to deal with. Too, I think he was always really helpful. Interestingly enough, I remember at the start of the new season last year, he was put up as one of the captains and doing a preview of the season and saying, I've been saying to a lot of the young players in the squad at Hamilton that they should be kicking me out now, that they should be coming to the fore and I should be struggling for my place in the team. I just don't know if he quite envisaged it, just how behind his shoulder it was. But wish him all the luck in the world. He's always been a really good guy to deal with, and I hope he goes. And he's one of the people you'd like to see back in a coaching capacity, because he's always been so helpful and so happy to talk about it, and clearly loves the role that he's had.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he shuts his stuff in the middle of the park. But I don't know if you noticed there, Ali, in the background, for such a hard man, there was a photograph of his wife and him on a cushion. He'll get slaughtered from that for his mates. Suddenly a wee lovey-dovey cushion of your wedding day in the background. Good that you noticed that, Ali.
Oh, of course. The small pieces that make the colour.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody always likes to look and see what's happening behind you. Only due to the fact, I think we can always remember that BBC interview with the political correspondent, and his kids started coming in behind him. Now everybody looks to see if there's anything going on in the backdrop. But nevertheless, absolutely. And William Innes says, "Where's Barry? Is he away back? Is he away back with the strips?" It's absolutely priceless. We'll try to get Barry back before we get to the finish of this. Listen, the one thing Alec Kelly mentioned there, and I was going to say it, of course, lots of people will be keeping their eye on this week, Ali, what's happening with the SPFL and Hearts and Partick Thistle, because that case now going to arbitration. My gut feeling is, Ali, that I think, there's two elements of it that are unknown. One, we don't know what documents will strengthen Hearts or Partick Thistle's case that are being released. Two, will it be compensation? I can't see it being reinstatement.
I think you're absolutely right. I think we would all expect it to stay as it is, and I think there'll be a level of compensation offered. I don't think it will be anywhere near the figures that have been quoted by Hearts and by Thistle, but I definitely think, and to be honest, I think that's fair. I think it's just. I think it was a very, very difficult call that was made, and you can understand absolutely the level of frustration. Hearts, I think, toiled throughout the season. Any of us who'd watched them, they had a look of a team that were rudderless, that had lost belief. Thistle, I think, their situation was just so firmly in their own hands that they could have got out. I think it's difficult to argue that it's anything other than unjust, and you have to feel for them in the situation that they're in. But my own feeling would be that there'll be a level of compensation offered, and it stays as it is.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, Alan, I mean, I know my gut feeling is that the way they'll say to them, you have to abide by the rules. It was unprecedented, the circumstances. Here's your compensation. And I think Hearts and Partick Thistle will come out of it and say, we're still not happy. It's unfair. And we're certainly not happy with the compensation figure. But we have to move on, because obviously there are warnings that this must be the final part of it. If, and this is the outside chance, and you can't discount it completely. I noticed Neil Doncaster was talking to Sky Sports today, and they mentioned whether his position would be untenable if this were to go pear-shaped. He is merely that representative that's been put in place by the clubs, and they've been happy with him all the way through. It would need to be something that he directly actually got involved in that brought about the change in the promotion, in the relegation, in the reinstatement. Or it would need to be something like that, Ali, that would bring about his downfall as the chief executive of the SPFL.
Well, the first thing you have to see is evidence. The first thing you have to see is a compelling piece of evidence that would firmly put him in the dock that way. Without it is nothing more than conjecture. You have to have something that ties him to that. But on that note, and another point is, our season is due to kick off in 3.5 weeks or so. It can't really wrangle on. It can't continue to go, because there is a contract signed with a broadcaster to play these games as and when. It's why the campaign was so difficult to continue the way it has in other leagues. There's a commitment that these games go ahead, and there's a lot of money at stake to ensure that these games go ahead when they're supposed to. So I think that now becomes quite pressing, if it's going to go backwards and forwards.
Yeah, I just wonder on that evidence. I just wonder if it all will hover around, Dundee United's future of going into the Premiership. I wonder if it'll all hover around this arbitration meeting, Barry, on the Dundee vote, because that just will not go away. It was for me. I described it as something that was stinking. From the start when it emerged, and it hasn't gone away, and it will not go away until somebody gives us a definitive this week or possibly at the start of next week.
Yeah, but we just want the truth, Peter. But in terms of like Dundee United and Wraith Rovers and Cove, I feel for these clubs. They've worked really hard. Like Dundee United had put a lot of investment in it this time last summer for Robbie to go and build a team and make sure that they get into the Premier League. And listen, let's be honest, they were coasting it, Peter. So to stop them from getting promoted, I think would be harsh on them. I've got to be honest with you. But we just want truth out, Peter. We want to see what happened with that Dundee vote. As you says, the whole thing stank for the word go.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I've been watching the Premier League. I don't know if you've been watching it religiously, guys, over the weekend. There's some that I've tapped into and some that I've just tuned out of. There was a couple of crackers in there, but still the crowd and the lack of it has just annoyed the life out of me. But I don't think too many people saw Man City losing to Southampton. That's their 9th game that they've lost. That was a surprise, Ali.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a stat today saying I think Pep Guardiola has lost as many games this season with City as he did in the full 3 years previously. It's just it's extraordinary. I think it can happen when the league's been won. Although obviously they might have had a point to prove against a Liverpool team that looked as though they had been celebrating all week, but. I think it can happen. The other thing is, I actually thought Southampton played very well. I thought Southampton didn't look too bad at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just news coming in, which is why I was paying attention to Yali, but you know what this show's like. Sometimes a little bit of news comes in, and it's the Joint Response Group can confirm that between Monday the 29th of June and Sunday the 5th of July, a total of 936 Scottish Premiership players and team staff were tested for COVID-19. Of these, one person has tested positive. The Joint Response Group will provide this information weekly as part of its return to football strategy and for the purposes of competition integrity and transparency. Due to medical confidentiality, no specific deals will be provided on individuals tested. But I think we already know, Barry, that one of them was the Aberdeen player.
Yeah, but out of that amount of players, Peter, one I would look at that in a positive way. So out of 900, just under 1,000 players, one positive case. We've got to thank ourselves for that. And listen, it's looking good now for the football to get back. Started at the start of August. We all miss it, Peter. But going in fans, going down and watching, well, not going down, watching it on TV, I just can't take to the games without fans in it. Honestly, it's just not the same. And I believe a lot of these players enjoy playing with the crowds when the fans are getting behind you and driving you forward. The fans are a massive help at stages, and I think that's why the standard's not been as good as what we expected.
Yeah, well, there's the pressures, there's the mistake, the intensity of a game. All of these things come into the equation, which is why I'm missing it. So, I mean, I don't know who's pushing the buttons for the sound effects, but sometimes even a pass back gets a and the fake crowd noise is just doing my head in. But
I don't even listen.
I've been cheering.
I turn it off. I turn it off for the fake crowd.
Oh, do you?
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Do you go to the next one where you can hear everybody just shouting the players?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I just the fake crowd's poor. Let's be honest. As you say, it's like somebody hits a shot and it's 30 yards over. Oh, big nonsense! It's nonsense.
Mexican way.
I know,
absolutely. I know. To be perfectly honest with you, though, I will tell you this: I have been jumping up and down off my seat because I mean, I'm not a West Ham fan at all. I just like anybody who's Scottish, who's down there to do well. You know, anybody who's Scottish who goes down to England, I want to see them do well. And Davy Moyes, I think, could get West Ham out of it if they obviously can get 4 defenders in, because no sooner do they go 2-1 up against Newcastle and 60 seconds later they've lost a goal. But you know, you just want your own kind to do well. Any Scot down there, Ali, I'm cheering them on.
Absolutely, I think most of us would say the same. You want them to go and represent our own nation and acquit themselves well. And I think there's another point to that too, that when you have players who go down south and are playing at the top level in that league, it's a good thing for the national team. Time was when the national team, when they were qualifying regularly for major tournaments, they always had a core of players who would have been playing in some of the top leagues across Europe and playing down south of the border. And I think it's crucial to have that representation there, and they come back and elevate the standard for the Scotland team.
Yeah, just a couple of things before we go, guys. It's a strange one, this, but is 25 million enough, Barry, for Crystal Palace to get Odsonne Edouard, if that little bit of speculation actually comes true?
Well, when I read it, Peter, no disrespect to Crystal Palace, look, no doubt they're a good club, but he's better than that, if I'm being honest. I've always said he's certainly improved for me even this season. I think he's the type of player that can easily play in the top 4 in England. Not saying Crystal Palace are a bad team and not a good club, but I think he's better. He's better than that.
Yeah, I think I don't want to start an argument on the show about what he's worth, Ali. He's worth what anybody's willing to pay at the moment, and we haven't really got a gauge apart from, you know, the Timo Werner deal, which Chelsea paid for Timo Werner of about over 50 million. But have other clubs got, you know, wads of cash to pay what Celtic would be looking for? I don't know, but I agree with Barry. I think he's better than Crystal Palace.
Well, I think if you look at what he's done and where he's been, you know, I think he'll definitely have ambitions of forcing his way into a very, very talented French team. And I think if he stays at Celtic for another season, if that's a level that you're looking at, then he would be better served playing and potentially playing in European football and playing every week again. That because I agree, I think he's definitely got the capability to go and play at the very top level, and play for definitely one of the top 6 teams down south. I also think he'd be good enough to go back to France too. If you look at the impact Moussa Dembele had when he went back to Lyon after Celtic, and still he's been linked with Man United and linked with other moves, and I think he's every bit as good as Dembele and potentially better.
Yeah,
Peter,
Barry, Fraser, yeah.
Peter, don't get us wrong. If Crystal Palace want to pay 25 million, go and get him and take him away for Celtic. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I was going to say you'd drive him down to London, wouldn't you, just to make sure he gets
not
there?
A problem. Not a problem. I think he only stays about 15 minutes. I'll go and taxi him down if he wants.
Brilliant. That's good, Barry. I like that line. Anyway, the one thing I was going to say, as a manager, Barry, Fraser Foster deal, you know, Neil Lennon has said it's all gone quiet from the player's perspective. That, as a manager, starts to worry you. You think there's the agent there saying, listen, I can get you a better deal, or I can get you something down here, or you could be first team choice at Southampton. There's something obviously playing with his head if he's gone quiet on this.
Yeah, well, if it's down to Fraser Foster, he's got to make a decision. If it's money, he stays down in the Premier League. If he wants to try and win trophies, which will have a better chance up here, because it's predominantly Rangers and Celtic are going head to head, and he's playing in front of 60,000, he comes up to here. So it's going to come down. And I would guess he's a wealthy man, Peter. He's done really well. He is a top goalkeeper. Let's get one thing straight. For me, he was a difference in a certain amount of games for Celtic last year. And I always say it, a top goalkeeper earns you 12 to 15 points a season, Peter.
Yeah, there's no doubt he's stalling for some reason though, Ali.
Yep, absolutely. I think he wants a permanent deal in Glasgow if he's to come back. He doesn't want it to be on a loan deal, and I think that's a sticking point. Obviously, if you're looking at the economic impact behind it, you're thinking, well, there's no real resale to him. If Celtic are going to spend quite a lot of money and bringing him in, there would be no resale further down the line. But is it more the case that he's been told, well, you've got an opportunity to come here and play again and challenge for the first team spot down in England? Is there interest from other clubs? I don't know, but I certainly think the only way now, I think he's made it quite clear that he wants to go back in a permanent deal, and I just don't know if the figures here would make that possible or not. I don't think Celtic have entirely given up on him yet. I think they would still hold out hope. I know how highly he's thought of at the club, and you're talking about last season, he pretty much won Celtic the League Cup. He pretty much won that game over in Rome against Lazio. So it's a big decision. I think if you're vying to get back into the Champions League and the money that getting into the group stages opens up to you, do you see it as an investment for the short term?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Hi to Mick Quigley. Love the show. He says, I'm hooked. I'm living in Ohio in the US of A. We hope you are safe and well, Mick. And thank you for all the lovely messages. And of course, the ones that rip into us as well. We like to read out everything. We're not here just to have people stroke our ego. We're here for some people to put into us, and boy, they have today. It's always good fun. Stephen Smith says, give him one of your tops, Barry, as a going away present when you're driving him down to London to join Crystal Palace, because we lost you for a couple of minutes there, Barry, and so many people on here thought you'd just turned off your broadcast to head back to take your strips back to get some money back because you weren't sure where it was going. So
no, do you know what? Do you know what I actually done when I was off? I couldn't get back on. I was like, right, I'll give it one chance. Then I did a wee sneak peek at my emails to actually see where I bought the strips from.
Where did you buy them from?
I'm not going to say. I'm not
Okay.
going to say.
No. Find the money. Barry Ferguson. Has it reached Rangers? Fingers crossed. Anyway, as ever, good crack from you, Baz. Certainly have enjoyed it. We've missed Roughie today, but of course people are still on the lookout for Senga, and hopefully Roughie will be back with us tomorrow. His car actually broke down, so that's why he couldn't make it with us. We always like a bit of banter with him. He likes driving that big car, but it's a guzzler, and every now and then when it breaks down, it's always in a place where Roughie can't get back to us, but he'll be back with us tomorrow. Interestingly enough, all the way through the week, as ever, Monday to Friday, thank you to the thousands upon thousands who are joining us on the show from near and far. You're making us Scotland's #1 football show. Like, share and follow if you can. And also, if you are on our social networks and YouTube especially, subscribe to us. It will cost you absolutely nothing. Tell your friends. We're on Twitter and, of course, Instagram as well with all the latest news. Gabriel Antoniazzi brings you all the latest Scottish football news. We're covering it every day and giving you superb video content that hopefully you will enjoy. It's covering it right across all the teams in Scotland. That's all I can say about it. Hopefully you'll enjoy it and you will share as much as you possibly can. Now, coming up, we've got a special competition. We're going to be giving away some T-shirts and we're going to give away an iPad for somebody to win. But I'm just waiting on the special part of the competition to be delivered to us, and then we'll tell you how you can win on a regular basis here on the Football Show. So all that remains for me to say is thanks to Darian MacKinnon for joining us on that one-to-one. Thanks to you for following us, from Alison, from Barry Ferguson, from the 3 Rangers strips that he has in his cupboard at the moment, and from myself, Peter Martin, who's going to be using that spare ticket that Barry's got for the Copeland Road end, but not telling him who I'm using it for yet. Thank you to each and every one of you for watching. Thank you.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit Arnold